Hey, what's up, everybody? It's Stephen A. Williams, president and founder of thecreditrepairshop.com. In this video, I'm going to make your day. I'm about to tell you that you have nothing to worry about with this stuff that they're talking about with the economy, that you have nothing to really worry about with all of the stuff that's going on around the world, that this is just a change of season. And now what's going on around the world, I'm not going to speak on that. That stuff will work itself out. Trust me, it always does. And if you knew how it was going to work out, then you would be the one that everybody is going to. No one knows how it's going to work out. We only know that work has to be done to work things out. And now let's flip this over to credit repair. Let's flip this over to your economy, because credit and economy for you is the business of you. Go ahead and like this video, because this is like you're sitting here talking with your financial advisor, your uncle that you trust, your grandfather or your father that is good with financing, that is good with their finances, so you could take advice from someone who is really doing the things that they're going to talk to you about, not someone who is pretending, not someone who is wearing a mask. I can't believe I saw a guy on YouTube telling people how to get out of debt and how to repair their credit. And this guy, I'm not going to say the word that I want to say, but this guy is wearing a damn mask on there. And that person is supposed to be telling people how to repair their credit and get out of debt. And he's wearing a mask. He's not even showing his face. Now, when I grew up, when a person had a mask on and they're talking to you, I'm not talking about a mask like, the medical mask or whatever. I'm talking about a ski mask. The people who came up to us in a ski mask was coming up to us to rob us. The people who came up to us in a ski mask was coming up to us to rob us. There's a lot of people on YouTube, a lot of people on these platforms. Some of them wear a ski mask and some of them don't wear a ski mask. And really the only thing that you really have, and I feel for people that are growing up in this world, not because of the access to stuff. I love that. This is like the world that I was thinking of when I was younger, like the access to information, because I was always going for access to, wanting to know and learn more. But it's hard for people to know who to trust, because people can make it sound so good. And if there is a bottom line on how you can potentially be able to trust a person, because there's always exceptions, is longevity. Longevity. How long has that person been doing what they're talking about, what they're advising, what they're teaching, what they're helping people with? My company, 2006 for the credit repair shop. 2006. So 2006 to 2016 is 10 years. And now we're what, 17 years? Do the math right. So, and then with my other company, 34 years. And so mainly I use YouTube to get this knowledge out of my mind, put it somewhere where it's like documented, which is a video. So if I'm not here, people will have something that they can say, let me just go back through and look at what this guy has done. Because people, when they contact me, they'll be like, I watched all of your videos. I'm like, you watched all of them for 5 years, 6 years, 7 years of videos? Yes. And so what I'm about to do is I'm about to give you some knowledge about what you need to be thinking about right now, because people will get you scared. They'll get you thinking about religion in a way that if you were just to look back in the past and this was the same, they talked about it the same way 10 years ago. They talked about it the same way 20 years ago. They talk about it the same way 30 years ago, 40 years ago, 50 years ago. The same thing that is happening right now with wars it did happen, and it was a lot worse. It was a lot worse than what you're seeing now. But see, they scare you with what can happen. Well, let me alleviate your fears and clap your hands and wake up. I want your subconscious mind. I want the attention of your subconscious mind. Wake it up, because this is going to be something that you're going to lean on when times get tough, because they are going to get tough before they get better. But when they get tough, and if you're in the right position, your life is going to be way better than where it is right now. And I'm going to speak on this from personal experience. So,
new visitor.
When I went down rock bottom financially and credit-wise, this is what happened. Just in case you don't know my story, this is what happened. My wife and I started a company in 1990. I was 20 years old. And she was 21 and 20 years old. Started our first company. We had nothing. We had nothing. When I say nothing, a lot of you have way more than what I had at the age of 20 or 21. I was just out of the United States Army. And follow me, because I'm going to bring this all around when it comes to credit. I'm going to bring this all around to what is going on right now. Because my experience and what I went through, each step, I learned. And when times got tough, I learned not to fear. I learned to position myself. And during the last recession of 2008, I positioned myself. And I've had the biggest growth on a personal level and on a financial level. So it's not just about money. It's about us growing as people. So we started our business and we had nothing. I'd say literally nothing. I was working a third shift security guard job out of the United States Army. $384.64. That amount is just, I remember that amount. That was every 2 weeks. That was $6.20 per hour. And my wife was working in the factory. And we said we had an idea about starting a business, and we started it, and it was mainly, my goal was just to be able to take care of our family and not have to work for somebody, period. That was the goal. And we put our heads, our thinking caps together. We didn't even know about the business that we were doing, other than that we had helped an organization do it. And so we were like, okay, if they could do it, then we can work with small businesses and do it. And trust me, it did not work out the right way at the beginning. And we literally really didn't have any money. But we made that company successful within 4 years. Within 8 months, I was able to quit my job. But we wasn't making like a ton of money, but I was making way more than what I was making every 2 weeks. I think it was like $36,000 when we added it up. This is what we're going to make, $36,000 a year. That was in 1990 or 1991. By that time, 4 years later, making over $100,000 a year with that business. Spent money like crazy. What do we do when we make more money? We spend more money. Blew it up. Got into debt over $300,000. And we got together and we said, we can't live this way. I couldn't even borrow money to my own mother because I was so much in debt, paying on cars, paying on all type of stuff. And we said, Christmas of 1994, this is over. We're not going to live this way because we'll end up being divorced. Kids are watching us look like this. We can't do this. So we said we're going to pay this debt down. We're going to give stuff back, all of that. That ended up being like my training ground for what I do here with the credit repair shop. That was like the training ground, because learning how to deal with debt collectors, learning what happens when you give a car back and it goes through the auction process and you get the real documentation so you can know what they actually sold the car for, what they actually did with the car. All of that stuff, dealing with debt collectors, the phone calls, what they can and cannot do, debt validation, all of that stuff. It was like me going to college And I didn't even know that I was going to be using that stuff. Now, it took us from 1994 to 1999 to get rid of all that stuff. My credit was in the 400s. Probably a lot less than what yours is right now, in the 400s. But let me tell you what I had in my mind, and this is the first lesson. The first lesson. I didn't say I had to get out of debt the next day. I didn't say that my credit had to get fixed. As a matter of fact, I didn't even think about my credit at that time. I thought about, let's get this debt under control. We get the debt under control. We don't even need credit. That was my thinking at that time. And we just drilled down and got ourselves in order. And it took us all the way to 1999. Now, in 2000, year 2000, guess what happened? If you wasn't around, there was a recession building, and then there was a full-out recession. And we were in the position because we took action. I didn't know that there was going to be a recession. I didn't know that all of this stuff was going to, prices were going to drop and things were going to become available and all of this. I didn't know that. I was working on myself and my finances, or me and my wife were. When it was hard, we were working on it because it was building up from that time frame, like it's building up right now. It was building up to be a recession. Stuff was getting high. It was hard to afford stuff. Grocery prices, all that type of stuff was like inflation. That stuff has happened before. But we wasn't scared. We did the work. And then all of a sudden there was a recession.
New visitor.
And because at that time we were like, we were making some changes in our lives, and we said we wanted to move, and you know, we were out in the county, and we were like, we want to move back to the city. And because we had taken care of the debt, we were like, okay, we need to buy a house, and what do we want to do? We were like looking at all these different potential opportunities, and they said, you know, you got debt is straight, but your credit is not where it needs to be. And I said, okay, how long will it take to repair my credit? Because I wasn't doing credit repair at that time. I was like, how long will it take me to repair my credit? They said, well, we can't tell you how long. But I was like, okay, let's start working on my credit. And while they were working on my credit, I was working on us. We were working on us. Keep the finances right. Keep everything right. Because this is what I had in my mind is like, when that time comes to be able to get that house, I do not want to let my family down. See, what a lot of people will do is that they will start to work on getting the house and start to work on everything at that time. I said, no, I want to prepare. I want to be prepared. I want my preparation to meet the opportunity, not the opportunity to present itself, and then I'm not prepared. And so no matter how long it took, I was going to have my credit worked on. So when that opportunity came about, I was prepared. And guess what? In 2004, the opportunity came about. As a matter of fact, it really came about in 2003, but it took us an additional year to be able to get into the position. And we ended up buying that home that was newly built. Nobody else had ever lived in it. Now, from that home,
new visitor.
This is what it equals. That home equals security for the family. That home equals not having a landlord over your back. That home is like a financial investment in the future for the family. That's what that equals. But the big part about it is that my credit met. It was like right at that time when it had to be done, because that builder said, if you don't take this home now, I'm going to sell it to somebody else. And what would have happened if I wouldn't have started working on my credit years ago? Well, first, working on the debt, getting that in the right position, and then working on my credit later. and then allowing that to meet that opportunity, because I would have had let my family down. And see, you might be saying, well, I'm trying to do that. Well, you need to put in the work. And you don't know when that opportunity is going to present itself. So every day you need to be working on the part that you control. Stop working on the part that you don't control. That's what a lot of people are doing right now, is they work on the stuff that they don't control, and they get upset with the stuff that they don't control, and they never really work hard on the stuff that they do control. So we got that home. And guess what happened after we got that home? The recession hit, well, not right after, but years later. Another recession built up, the 2008 one, the Great Recession, that's what they called it. And what we had did during that period of time, from the lessons that we learned in the 1990s, was that, okay, what would be the best moves to make to be able to not make the mistakes that we made in the past? So let me tell you some of the things that I did. So one of the things with my automobile, and some of my friends, they'll be like, man, you still got that car? You still drive? Yes, I am. Is that I said, okay, take care of your vehicle. Now, this might seem like some people might get kind of turned off with me saying it, but it doesn't matter because I know it works. I took care of my vehicles and I said, hey, I'm going to keep them. I won't have no payments, and I can drive them. The way I look at it, this is the way I look at it. I'm just straight up. The longer after a vehicle is paid off, I look at it as paying myself for all of the years that I didn't have to pay any more payments. It's been years. I got my 2007 Mercedes. I bought it when it was, I think, 4 years old. I paid at that time $36,000 for that vehicle. What year is it right now? And as a matter of fact, when people see that vehicle, people be like, that don't look like a 07. And I was like, well, I take care of it. But that vehicle, so that vehicle is going to be, that vehicle is old, but it doesn't look old, and I take care of it. And then I have a Range Rover Autobiography, 2016. I bought that one when it was 2 years older. So in 2016, 20, I bought it when it was 1 year old, 2017. And then what year is it right now? So every year that those vehicles are, every month that I don't pay any payments, and those vehicles were paid off years ago, that's money that goes into my savings. And I take care of those vehicles. I'm just being straight up with you. I'm just being, like, these little bitty tweaks, it's like the difference between you having money and not having money. I'm just telling you, I see business owners that don't follow this formula, and they end up where they're like, man, I just got too much debt. I can't even run my business right because I got too much debt. And that's what I had ran into in the 90s. I was like, I got a good business, and I'm sitting here just blowing the money on all this stuff and not keeping any money. The auto market, you are about to, if you don't have it already, you are about to be able to get a nice vehicle, very nice vehicle that will last a long time for less than what you thought you were going to be able to get. That market is about to go down, and that's going to be an opportunity for you to be able to get a vehicle that you probably didn't even think you were going to be able to get into at a price that you can afford to get into it. Housing. I don't want to skip over that. You're going to be able to buy a house. Now, this is going to be a little bit of a catch-22, but let me tell you, it's going to pay off because I know it from experience. So when I bought my home in 2004, I bought it at a price that some of the people were like, are you crazy? You just bought that house? Let me just be straight up with you. I bought the house for almost $70,000 more than what other people in the neighborhood bought their house for. And you might be saying, well, that was a dumb financial decision. Well, let me tell you, I'll tell you the end result of that in a minute. But it brought my family security. It brought no landlord, nobody coming to pick up no rent, no check. Wife can do whatever she wants with the house. That's what counted for me. For me, just the security of owning the home and not having a landlord. But for the kids, for the wife, it even meant way more for them than it really even meant for me. And then for me, being able to see them comfortable, you know, we had the basement done, like had 2 gyms put into it, and office and a theater room. All like, we didn't have to ask anyone's permission. It just meant a lot. But let me tell you the end result of what happened. So I bought the house for 70-something thousand, I think, more than what everybody was paying. But guess what? When we sold the house, it was sold for the most in the whole entire neighborhood. More than anybody. I'm talking about, we doubled what we bought the house for, and no other house, even when they do the comps, when they try to come up to our price level of what we sold the house for, it can't compare. It can't. For what my wife did for that house over the years, and it didn't even really cost that much, but what she had did over the years, and for what the space and all of that, it was just no comparison. And so, yeah, we paid more, but in the end, we got double. It was even a little bit more than double than what we paid for the house. And no house has even, one house came close, and it was only because of space, but it was still like $40,000 less than what we sold our house for. So you will get back double. You'll get back security for your family, and then you'll get back financially when you sell the house. You can't lose. But if you're not in a position, you can end up losing. The next thing, I just spoke on it with the auto market. Now, if you're renting, you need to get out of that situation when you can, because rents are going to go up. Rents are going to go up. And as a matter of fact, just in case I didn't say it, housing prices to buy houses are going to go up. And let me tell you the reasons behind that. Is that the interest rates are going to drop. Like they are about it. If you want to change to a new field for a career, if you want to change to a new career, the one to get into is going to be refinancing mortgages. It only makes sense because they're high right now. At my home that I had when I had a mortgage on the other house, I was paying 3.25% on that mortgage. People were sending me applications to refinance, and it was like, you're offering, this is before it really jacked up, before we had sold, because it went up after we had sold. They were like sending stuff like 4%, 4.75% to refinance. I'm like, why would I refinance it when I'm at 3.25%? If mortgages were at 3.25%, what do you think is the next boom that's going to happen in the United States? Is that they're going to start lowering interest rates, and what's going to happen when they lower interest rates? People are going to refinance. What happens when people are able to refinance at a lower interest rate? They're going to have more room for money. They're going to have more. Monthly payment was $2,000 a month. Now monthly payment is $1,300 a month. They got $700 room. This is what's going to happen with the housing market. And on one side, it's going to make the prices go up because people are going to be able to afford to buy more of a house. But on the other side is that you're going to be able to get into a house. So if you're not positioned with your credit, you're not going to get into that house. So when the opportunity comes, are you going to be positioned, or are you going to just be like, okay, I'll start working on it at that time? And when I say work on it, I know y'all are working on your stuff. But I mean meaningful working on stuff. There's working on stuff, and then there's meaningful. That means that It's like, okay, I'm working on it. I'm working on it. I'm working on it. I'm doing it. And when frustrations happen, I don't get frustrated. I just keep working. That's what you do at your job. You get frustrated at your job, but you keep working because you want to get that paycheck. That's the same thing that you got to do for your credit. That's the same thing you got to do for your debt, because there is no way to make changes without having to go through a level of frustration, because that's what changes you on the inside. Work on you, and then you'll see the work start to materialize on the outside. The next thing is with the rental market is going to skyrocket. Rental market is going to skyrocket for two reasons. All of these dang hedge funds and all of these investment firms, they're buying up properties. They're buying up real estate. They're buying and putting up apartment buildings, condos all over the place. And they're not doing it for no reason. It's not even just to be able to make more money, because that's just another place to invest. It's because there's an explosion of people in the United States that need property, that need to live somewhere. There are kids that used to live with their parents that are like, hey, I'm ready to move out now. And they don't even have places to go in some cities. It's like they live with their parents in one city, and they had to go to a whole nother city to be able to even get an apartment. And it wasn't even only just because of being able to afford it. Yes, some people do have issues affording places, but a lot of people have the job, but they can't even find a place because in their city, there is just nothing for them to get. In the city I live in, it is very limited. There's actually no apartments in the city that I live in. And so in those people that grew up there, they got to go to one of the other nearby cities just to be able to have live in an apartment. So prices are going to go up because the inventory is down. Don't be fooled. They are converting these buildings that used to be commercial buildings for offices into residential. They don't do that for nothing. So don't be fooled. And if you are not in the position where you can buy a house, you better have yourself in the position to where you can rent. And that starts now with your credit. Whatever you got that you're dealing with, you don't want to have that when you go to put that application in and they say, well, you can't get this place, because that's going to be another time that you did not work on yourself. So when the opportunity came about, you were not in the position to take advantage of that opportunity. Now, let's talk about income. Let's talk about income, and let me take a quick drink here. Let's talk about income. Incomes are going to go up. Believe it or not, I don't care what anybody says, your income is going to go up. I'm speaking that into existence for you right now. I'm speaking that into existence for me. So now let me tell you something about money. Some of you may not get this. Some of you may get it. But when I got it, when I heard it, but when I got it, I got it. That's just how I'm going to say it. When I got it, I got it. Money. Let me just show you something. Let me show you something. So, money. This is money. This is money. And this is like right in front of us. I got this band on here. My wife gave me $500. She was like, here's $500. So this is money. And I'm not going to show them, but, you know, I don't want to be showing my cards, but these are money. These cards is money. This silver card here, that's money. This black card here, which I'm not gonna, you can kind of see it. I don't want to put it on like that because I don't know, they got some symbols on there. You never know what people can do on the internet. That's money. That's money. The cash I showed you is money. The cards I showed you is money. The money in your bank account, that's money. Digital money. Bitcoin, It's money. All the other stuff, I don't leave nobody out. I don't want Bitcoin to be like, what Bitcoin to be like, why didn't you talk about me? Why didn't you talk about me? That's money. Now, I want you to listen to me closely, because when I got this, it will make you able to afford. If you're a business owner, you'll be able to afford anything that you want to be able to afford, because there is no such thing as not being able to afford something. It just means that you can't afford it, because if it's being made, someone can afford it. So I'm going to speak on it on the business side, and majority of people that's watching me work somewhere, and I'm going to speak on it from being an employee on that side. I'm going to show you as an employee how to make more money, and it's not to start a business. I'm talking about how to get your employer to pay you more money. There's a technique to it. I've utilized it when I used to work for somebody, even though the last time I worked for someone was when I was 20 years old or 21 years old. But when you're a business owner, I'm just going to put it like this. When you're a business owner, money in your hand is not money. It really for both, so I don't want to get this confused. Money in your hand, that's money. That's like just the paper, and people be talking about that on the videos. But that's the tool. The money is right here. Tell my grandsons this all the time. Like when I see my grandsons all the time, and I tell them, because I wish someone would have told me, so I'm telling them, and I'm going to tell you, is that when you get this in your mind, that everything is created in your mind first, there is no stopping you. I have literally, and I tried to tell one of my workers this, and I could just see their face when I was looking at them, and I was like, I better just stop, because they can't understand it. Just go back to work, because you can't even understand this. And the only reason why I talked to them about it was because this employee said, hey, I'm starting a business. And I'm like, that is great. I would love to have you stay here, but I don't want to hold anyone back from going after their dreams, because I could just get another person to take that position. And I was like, if you ever want to get any advice on how to grow your business, just ask me, because I'll tell you. And he started the business, and then he started having trouble with the business. And I said, the reason why you're having trouble with the business is because you're focusing on the money. You're not focusing on the way that money is created. He's like, well, I am focused on the way money is created. I'm trying to sell my business services for my business to people so I can make more money. And I'm like, that's not the way that it works. You're thinking that that's the way that it works, and the reason why you can't make it grow is because you're focusing too much on that side. The money is created in your mind. The money is created in your mind first. And the way that the money is created in your mind is by what you're going to do to be able to get the end result of the money. So you need to focus on what you're going to do to be able to get the money. Now, you might be thinking, well, Steve, how can he not be focused on what he's doing to be able to get the money? Because he's focusing on the money. He's not focusing on what he has to do to get the money. But see, the thing is when you're struggling to get money, when you're struggling for money, you're going to be focused on the money. And that's what a lot of people do, and that was a mistake that I used to make. You focus on the ideas. Your ideas is the money. So you'd be like, okay. And I know that this is hard, because when I was struggling financially, I was like, and some of this stuff, I luckily did it. And then also there are mentors, some that I met and some that I never did meet, that I would just listen to. Back then it was listening to CDs and tapes in my car. And I used to have on my phone, remember, some of you are too young, but there was these little MP3 players, and I would put on the headphones and I would listen to it over and over. I had even recorded myself what's called my perfect day of work and my perfect day of play. And I got that from Marshall Silver. He was a hypnotist. My wife and I took his program and listened to it over and over and over. And I was listening to myself, and people were like, "What are you listening to?" And I was like, "Well, I'm listening to myself." They thought I was joking. And I was like, "Here, listen, that's me." What I was doing is the ideas. And when I started focusing more on the ideas and putting the ideas into action, guess what came later? The money. But here's the crazy thing that happened. And that did happen with my other business, but it was more on accident with my other business. I was more focused on my family. And you can do it. This can work in different ways. It can work in different ways, but I would suggest that you focus on it from yourself, because you want this to be more an internal than where it's external, where, you always leaning on having to do for other people. In a sense you are, but if you are fully man, woman, then you will be able to help other people even better. Like if you're full, you love yourself, you do for yourself, and then you know that you got to provide service for other people, you will do everything that it takes in between to get that service done for whatever it is. And then it will just come to you. This will freak you out, but I've literally had people, and Marshall Silver talked about this. He used to say it in the tape all the time. I've had people that come to me and they say, "I want to work for you for free." I've had people come to me and they say, "I want to work for you. I do want to get paid, but I want to prove to you that I'm going to be of value to you." And that's I'm going to get into that with working for people. That I'm getting close to that. And then the ultimate thing is that you could just create money. You can actually create money. And I'm not talking about something where you're printing money and whatever. What did they call it? Making fake money, whatever. I can't even, the word escapes me right now. I'm not talking about that. What I'm talking about is that you will be able to create money from your ideas. And so what I've learned over the years, and I do this intentionally, is that if I want to make more money, I say it like this. I have a menu. Have you ever went into a restaurant and said, "Why doesn't a restaurant just serve one thing?" Or if they serve one thing like Chick-fil-A serves the chicken sandwich, why don't they just stay with chicken sandwich and not sell anything else? They have a menu, don't they? I've learned, and this is the excellent lesson for business owners, is that your menu is your ideas, and your ideas will turn into money. Your menu. So if you want to make more money as a business owner, you come up with more ideas, and your ideas in a sense is like your menu. It's like your menu. And if you're a client of the credit repair shop, or if you ever go to the credit repair shop website, or you go to any of my other companies, there's like a menu. It's not a menu per se, because I'm not in the restaurant business, but there's a menu of services that we offer to be able to make money. And all of those menus, those services that are on that menu, all of them serve people and give value to those people to solve problems, to be able to help the business make more money. So that's the business side. So let's talk about when you work for somebody. Lesson number one that I learned when I was in the military, and I was only 18 years old, was that, and it was just like a light bulb went off in my head. The example of it was, and I don't like using this example, but I got to use it because I'm truthful. We were learning to put our M16s together, to take them apart, put them together, and how to clean them. And while we were doing it, I was falling asleep. And a light bulb, something kicked in my head at that time, my 18-year-old mind, And it said, you better wake up and you better get engaged in what you're learning, because you could actually be on the battlefield and you don't even know what you're doing with this weapon. Number one, you don't know how to clean it because it can jam, like all of this stuff. And I was like, I better wake up. And you want to know, this is what I did. And if this drill sergeant was here to this day, he would say he's not lying to you. Is that I got up, and when they said, get this piece, I was like, we get this piece. I repeated it out loud. We get this piece. We stick that in there and we clean it. And I'm like saying this out loud. And guess what happened? The other people started saying it out loud. And guess what? The drill sergeant was like, you get that. And like all of us started doing it. And there were some people who wasn't participating. But the majority of people started, they were like, pick it up. Clean it this way. And then put it back together. You put this piece first, this piece second, this piece third, this piece fourth. What was, let me tell you, the benefit to me was that it was getting sunk into my memory on how to take this apart and how to put this together. Because I was doing the process, I was engaged. I was engaged because I didn't want to be out there on any battlefield. And you know what? A year later, 2 years later, the Gulf War happened. So I was preparing, which is what they're trying to tell you to do, but some people don't pay attention. I was preparing on accident, but that light bulb went up in my head. And there's some other things younger that probably made that happen, but I won't get into that. But the light bulb went up in my head, and I got that, and this is what happened. They were like, you're a leader. You're a leader. That's what they told me. You're a leader. So we're going to make you a section leader. And this is in basic training. They're like, we're going to make you a leader because of what you did. You stood out. You got engaged. And it was like, I got engaged, not because I'm trying to impress the drill sergeant. I got engaged because I want to be able to protect myself. I want to know what I need to know. So if the time happens, I want it to be prepared. That was my thinking. But what I learned from that is that that's how you make value. That's how you make yourself valuable. If you want to make more money and you want your boss to pay you more money, you cannot walk in there and ask for more money. Now, I'm not talking about what's going on with the car manufacturers and all of that. That's a whole different thing. I'm talking about on the level of a business owner. You're working for a company and you want to be able to move up in that company. And as a matter of fact, when you're in management, you got to understand where you're at. When you're in management, this is how management moves up. When you are in straight up labor, this is not how you move up. This is not how you make more money. So you need to know where you're at with where you're at. If you're just labor, you're on a manufacturing line. This is, you make yourself valuable, but moving up, you got to get into management. And you, whatever company you're at, you have to figure out how you get into management. So what you do as if you're an employee, to increase your value to the employer, you have to make yourself stand out. And I'm not talking about where you're up there just kissing someone's you know what. I'm talking about you have to, number one, become so efficient at your job to where your boss has no other decision to make other than increasing your revenue for your paycheck, increasing your pay, or you are so valuable someone else will find you. And I know that this is scary. This is scary. But this is what happened. I'll give you the example that Marshall Silver made. He gave the example where he was working at a gas station, pumping gas, and that he had always practiced having a radio voice. And he was barely making any money at the gas station, but the person drove up in a nice car and he was pumping the gas for him. Now, this was you know, way back. You don't have too many places pumping gas. I think only New Jersey now. I think, I'm not sure. But he pumped the gas, and he said, and the guy said, you know, you have a nice voice. What do you just pump gas? He was like, well, that's the job that I have right now, but I would love to listen to other opportunities. And the guy said, well, come down to my radio station and you can maybe work for me. You have a radio voice. And he said that he did take that job, and it was with K-Joy. And he said the music that you ride the elevator with. I remember the way that he was saying that. But that was like his start. That was like his start. People will find you. It's crazy how it happens, but people will find you. People will find you, and you will end up having the opportunity, but you got to be ready for the opportunity, and you have to be willing to let go of one side to be able to go on the other side. When I was working my security guard job, and I had got the business going, my wife and I got the business going, and even though I was making that $364.84 every 2 weeks, I was still afraid to leave that job, even though the other business that I started was making more money. And that was because when you can't hold both. And when you let go of one, and for me it was to let go forever. And that security that I thought that I had with that job, it was still frightening, but you have to do it. And there's always going to be points in your life. Always there's going to be points in your life that you have to let go of one thing to be able to just go way up with the other things that you're doing. And I'm actually going through that right now with one of my companies, where I'm in the mode, the understanding, have tried everything to make it work. It's one of my actually my oldest company, the one that I started when I was 21 years old. Things have changed so much for that business to where it's just like I have to probably let that business go to be able to let the other departments of that business, or let one department of that business go, to let what is now from all of the changes they've made, to allow it to just flourish. You have to let go of the old to be able to accept the new. And that, in a sense, is the same thing with credit repair, is that you got to let go of that old sense of you of having bad credit, that old habits of you, of the way that you utilize your credit, those old tendencies of the way that you would allow yourself to be talked into getting credit, the way that you were talked into going out and getting another car when you didn't really need to go out and get another car, the way that you were talked to into getting credit cards, the way that stuff was presented to you, and you always just grabbed at them because you didn't go through that thought process. Got to let go of those old things so you could be able to allow the new things to come your way. That's just the way that we gotta, the changes that we gotta make in our life. So if you're still sticking with me right now, you know what I want to do for you. I want you to go to the live chat on my website, thecreditrepairshop.com. And yes, I'm going to send this to you for free. No shipping and handling, no nothing. Just put your address and I'm going to send it to you. For listening. I mean, that's just the bonus. That's just the bonus. I think that what I've talked to you about, if you really think about it, if you really maybe have to watch it again so you can understand it deeply, that you'll say that what I sat down and listened to for the last 50 minutes is something that's going to really change my life. Thank you for your time. If you need help with your credit, please visit us at thecreditrepairshop.com. Watch the video, what makes us different, so you can see my 8-point validation process, my 2-phase settlement process. If you need your credit reports and scores, go to the website your3scores.com. Grab your TransUnion, Equifax, Experian credit reports and all 3 scores. If you have debt collectors coming after you, grab my 3-pack of letters: statute of limitations, debt validation, and cease and desist collection activities letter. If you have debt collectors trying to sue you in court, that's on that. The link is below there. If you have a debt collector that's coming after you early and you don't want to do it yourself, you want us to send the letter certified for you, a very strong letter that can get most debt collectors to stop coming after you, there's a link below there. There's several different services that we offer.